game number 1, they won against Cammy and Seti, right? And that was actually the only game where they actually made it into the end game and got any amount of points. After that, we saw in game number 5, in which they tried to split the drop, but that didn't necessarily work out either.
Yeah, it's really, really difficult to split Frenzy feels like that.
Yeah.
I think it is just going to be a full-out 50-50. We've seen Pamster, in fact, winning that a lot of times, been putting a lot of practice into that drop spot. The only issue that they have so far is the third parties that could be rotating on over. It's a very, very 50-50 drop spot. Even Pamster, in fact, they've tried landing in different areas in previous seasons, previous Cash Cups and weekly finals, and I think it was North Slappy that they were landing. It just didn't work out for them. So I do not see them giving this landing spot up because they know it so well.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, not to mention as well, Hamstone Fatch, also a returning duo from Invitational. They played together in every single major, and we've actually heard it, right? They had to suffer through an injury throughout the year, which, you know, they lost some practice throughout some of the majors. All in all, though, I'm excited to see them perform today.
Yeah, they qualified to the last chance major. This could be their moment, right? They just need that top 25. Guess what? Frankie is standing by with them now to get their thoughts. Frankie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Zeke. I was so excited when I heard that these guys had qualified for the Global Championship. I know, Fats, that you were not happy with your final result at the Invitational. So how does it feel to be getting to compete again here in Copenhagen?
It's nice to have another chance now to prove ourselves again, and like we got to qualify today, being contested probably again, and we've been con the whole chapter, so we're pretty confident on our abilities off spawn, and then we just gotta do what we know how to do, and like we got this. Like,
are you expecting to be contested at Frenzy Fields today?
Yeah, we are, but I think we're very ready for them to contest us, so we're not really scared or anything.
How do you practice for being contested off spawn?
I think it's just by running a couple of 2v2s at Frenzy. We did that last night, so I don't think we're gonna have a problem today.
The two of you have been playing together for nearly 2 years, which is actually so rare in the Fortnite competitive scene. What is it that's kept you together?
I mean, we both speak the same language, and like we like each other, we play well with each other, and now like we're at some point being played together for like 2 years that we can like play with no comms and we'd be okay for like good part of the game. Of course, like at some point you gotta give information to your teammate because games are different every time. But yeah, we've just been playing together for so long, and it's weird to do a change now.
That sounds like we're Quebecois and there's not many of us, so we have to stick together. But I know that there's genuine love between you two as teammates. Can you tell me, Pamstu, about what it was like when Fatch did start to get his wrist injury at the end of last year, because he had to take a month out, but you decided to wait for him?
Yeah, Fatch had a wrist injury like around December. When he told me about it, I was kind of like upset, but I just knew that Fatch when he will come back, he will always be good. So I wasn't really stressed or anything, and I just waited for him patiently.
And now here you are in Denmark, and I know that you would like to say something to the fans watching around the world. And there are some French fans in the audience. Maybe you could win them over. And I know you'd both like to speak. So if you'd like to take the middle spot, I'm going to let the two of you speak to your fans.
Let's go les Québécois et les Français, on va gagner pour vous. On va essayer de mieux vous représenter au Québec, puis envoyez-nous de la force, puis les Français aussi, si vous pouvez nous aider un petit peu à passer aujourd'hui, ça pourrait aider. Merci.
I think you might have won the French fans over as well as the ones watching you at home in Canada. Thank you so much for talking to me. I do believe our friend Dmk right now is in the Creator Lounge, so let's see who he's got.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Yes, we are in the Creator Lounge, and I'm here with Squatting Dog, but I can't... here he is, there he is. Squatting Dog, such a funny fella, such a funny fella. It's actually your birthday, right?
It is my birthday, in fact, yes.
How are you celebrating your birthday?
Hopefully with Mama Benji Fishy and Kanata, because we're all sharing it.
Oh, wow, wow. Lots of birthdays today. Well, hope you're having a wonderful birthday, a great place to be on your birthday. Tell me, how's it been so far? How are you finding the atmosphere here in the arena? All the fans, you met any crazy fans so far?
So many crazy fans. Everyone out here is fantastic, all of you. So fun to be around. The screen is massive. And like, I think this is gonna be an event that we will all cherish for a very long time coming. So if you are here, we're so stoked you're here. This is a blast.
It has been really, really fun in there. I have to ask you though, is there anyone in particular you're supporting? Anyone you got your eyes looking out for? Of course, today is the lower bracket day, right? It's a lot more on the line. You know, some teams are going home after today. How are you feeling about that? Who are you supporting?
There's a lot of pressure on the players. I think I'm looking for Kanata up there, a fan favorite of mine. And then I think when I talk to a lot of people out there in the crowd, they're saying Clicks, you know, and I think that's a common answer as well. So we hope the best for him as well, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Clicks is, you know, the guy that everybody wants to see well. I have to ask you though, right? You know, people want me to ask this, so, you know, this is coming like it's a very important question right now. Sure. How do you think you'd fare in a competition like this one?
Like this one?
Yeah. No more funny business. Let's get to the serious stuff. Back to you on the desk, Zeke.
Dang it, Spawning Dog. Oh, 11-2K. What a guy. What a character, that guy. But as you can tell, vibes are high here today. There is quite a bit of seriousness, of course, as some of these players are kind of looking to start getting themselves prepared. But it's good to break things up with a nice little laugh here and there.
Yeah, I mean, you put those two together, you're bound to get a laugh, 100%. That's why we love them. Levin, he's tough to be around sometimes. He's always trying to throw a joke.
He's tough to play duos with as well. So I think if they duo together, yeah, they'd be bottom.
Wow, Levin, way to not play duos with me. That's cool. Anyway, guess what? We are getting ever closer to starting the competition. Why don't we send it on up to our casters to get us prepped?
This has been phenomenal. Just to even start the show, the fans all over are erupting. And honestly, I expect the Royal Arena to open up at some point because they are going to blow the roof off this place.
Yeah, and to be completely fair as well, I think most of us would have the same reaction as Squatting Dog if asked that question, because these guys that are competing here today, I mean, we might be looking at the lower bracket matches, but these are still some top competitors.
Yeah, and I don't think any one player has kind of an upper hand here today, because if we seen yesterday, I think there's a couple players that we're seeing today that everybody would have predicted to be at the top of that leaderboard, taking a break on to Sunday, and that's one thing everybody has to get through their mind. Nothing is guaranteed, everything is earned.
And just like that though, you have to keep in mind, everything has been building for this moment. These players have been waiting for their opportunity to find their seat on the battle bus for Global Championship Sunday. So we've got the stage set and ready to go.
Just 25 duos can make tomorrow's grand final. We have so many players nervously lining up behind that stage, ready to meet their fate. And Copenhagen, I think we should lend them your voices right now. Are you ready to meet your players? I said Copenhagen, are you ready to meet your players? Let's bring them on.
It's not about how hard you fall. It's about how you pick yourself back up. And these guys plan to do just that today. They want to continue their dream. They want to continue that journey to the Global Championship Final.
What happened yesterday doesn't matter. This is a new lobby with new competition. And if there's any takeaways from their day one, it's that all it takes is one good game to break through.
And this is what they plan to do. Take a couple of those moments from yesterday, the experience, everything that they have learned, and put on a show for the Royal Arena to keep it all going.
Second chances do not come often. Everyone wants today to be the start of something great, and it all begins with this competition.
And this is it, lower bracket. Everybody's ready to take their seats. They're ready to start to play the game. You hear the chants of the crowd going loud. They're ready to make some noise.
So take it all in, enjoy the walk down. You've taken your seats one time before already, but this time, you don't want to make it your last.
You can feel it. You can feel it in the air. The tension is real. Yesterday, those players were a lot more animated. Today, the focus is next level. We saw them there for a moment. Kanata and Agers, a duo that if you had said they're going into the lower bracket, I would have said, nice, that's a funny joke. But here they find themselves.
Kanata and Agers, your Chapter 4, Season 3, Major 3 champions, coming straight out of NA, representing. Honestly, yesterday was a little bit rough for them. They were contested by the greats, Thomas and Malabuka, but today, it's a different story. They're going to be uncontested, and if there's anything that I know about Kanata, it's that when he is uncontested every single game, he's going to find the damage needed for Storm Surge and find every single one of those end games.
Of course, and I mean, as you saw them on screen there for a moment, the French fans, we got a duo for you. It's Podesai, it's Snazy finding themselves here in the lower bracket, but the fight's not done. That's right, make some more noise! Mini Miner, what can they do?
Yeah.
What can they do? What can they change to make it happen today?
Yesterday wasn't great for them. It wasn't a great day. But they can come back. They can definitely come back. They couldn't quite make it to endgame yesterday. Such a little bit of a problem for them. And we're talking about a duo in Snazy who has LAN experience. He was at the World Cup. I think they're going to need those fans today. I think they're going to need them on top form. And it looks like so far they're definitely doing that.
For sure. Now, of course, we've seen these duos yesterday, but there's 25 from the last chance major we have not met yet. So let's go ahead and meet half of them right now.
Our first group of our last chance major qualifier teams. And let me tell you, they hope that is not the last time that you see them here this weekend. They're looking to put everything they learned throughout the year to the test here against some players that already have the experience on the stage.
Look, just because it's their first time on stage does not mean it's their first time competing. They are familiar with what it takes to find themselves the victory royales that matter most so they can keep their ticket punch for the global championship.
And with their backs up against the wall, they realize the situation that they're in. It is go big or go home. And let me tell you, with a long flight for some of these guys, they don't plan on making that come to fruition. This is just one group of so many superstars you're gonna see this entire weekend.
A high-profile duo, Janice and Reason, will finally get to take the stage. Now, Mini Miner, what can we expect from this duo from EU?
We can expect excitement, right? We have Janice, the big brain IGL, FNCS winning pedigree across different seasons. Reason, considered one of the best fighters in EU still. And I'm surprised it's taken them to the last chance major to qualify for today. I mean, after day number 1 of Major 1 of Grand Finals, they were in first place. They had an incredible performance, but ended up coming 3rd in that major, so just missing out on a spot. They had a little bit of contestation issues in the last chance major as well, so they just about battled their way through, but I'm glad they are here because they can put on a show.
Absolutely, and a duo from NA, Scented, Polarize. Now, of course, we know Scented has kind of shuffled around a couple times, but now paired up with Polarized. For maybe fans that aren't familiar with them, that are watching the Globals for the first time, Vivid, what can you tell us about this duo?
I mean, Scented is going to be the brains of this duo, throwing it back to Invitational, where we saw him alongside Cold. But coming into this year, the search for a new duo began, and honestly, he didn't really find his feet until it was Major 3 where he picked up Polarized, but they found no success there. And then, of course, the last chance Major is where they clutched up. If it's anything that I know about Scented, he's going to be looking towards the low ground. He loves being down there, especially when he was alongside Cole. It looked like they just ran through anybody that was in their way. I'm expecting to see more of that today.
You know what I'm expecting to see? The last half of the duos from the last chance Major. Arena, give them a welcome.
Last but certainly not least, our final group of players taking the stage, qualifying through the last chance Major. They felt this pressure before, and like Levin said, it either bursts pipes or makes diamonds, and they're trying to shine bright this weekend.
These contenders have already proven that they know how to prevail through a last chance situation, and today's gonna be no different. The Global Championship Battle Bus is leaving with or without you. It's time to see which 25 teams will claim their seats.
Those seats are a hot commodity this weekend. Only 50 teams will be able to make it there. We saw half of them qualify yesterday. Today, we will secure our final entrance onto that battle bus. Who do you want to see take it all?
Jacob PR, I need to give you a job as just my hype man. I just need you to follow me around and hype up everything that I do. But man, oh man, now we have the full lobby of players. Now, we wanted to highlight one in particular here for you. It's Kirby and it's Wiccacy. Now, originally, they were part of 2 separate duos, but their duo mates couldn't make it. So now they've been allowed to come together and form one duo for the Global Championship.
This is a really interesting storyline. Kirby and Wiccacy, of course, coming from different regions, a little bit of a language barrier potentially there, so they're going to have to sort of use the in-game tools to communicate, landing it to the north side of the map, just to the west of Sanguine Sweets. Really interesting drop spot. I think they might have a few issues with Storm Surge, with teams actually using that massive mountain that's just outside of that drop to take advantage of them, but anything can happen. This is why I wanted to talk about this, Gio, because literally anything can happen. We've never seen them play together before, so literally, who knows what's going to happen?
That's a little bit of an X factor, right? You never know what could happen, and Fortnite loves to do this thing where when you don't know what could happen, that's when the craziest things happen. A last duo here, FKS and Adapter. What do you want to talk about this duo, Vid?
Listen, I mean, I love where they are dropping. Kenjutsu crossing. Of course, we saw Queasy and Évènement do very, very well from this drop spot yesterday, right? Kind of taking the reins over from them. And honestly, I was looking towards them because I was like, hey, I think they can do very good from this drop spot. But of course, it's the lower bracket. It's Fortnite. It's the Global Championship. We love to always mix up a little bit of drama in there. And I was checking out socials a little bit earlier on this morning, and it looks like Suns and Anon might be switching over to contest this duo. So my eyes are going to be towards that fight as we jump in to these first couple of games.
That is crazy. And if I remember correctly, these guys were at Invitational, right? So they already have some LAN experience. Do you feel like that could play a factor coming in today?
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk about it, right? Any of the duos that have experience, especially the ones that have been, you know, together when it comes to an international event or just playing in person alone. And then, of course, you know, some of these duos, one half of them kind of have that experience as well. So I'll be excited to see, you know, if they can kind of take the reins and make sure that they stay cool, calm, and collected under the pressure.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned they're now contested, because that just shows what the lower bracket can do. Anything can happen. These guys would have been preparing to be uncontested. Now they are contested by Suns and Anon. I mean, that's going to throw a huge spanner in the works, and that is crazy, because they would have been preparing, yes, we're going to rotate here to get our surge, no one landing us, we'll be chilling, we'll be enjoying ourselves. Next thing you know, 2 Australians, they're flying in, and things are all going out the window. All the plans are like, hang on a sec, what's happening here? So this is why we talk about adaptability so much, not only in the whole game, the whole meta, the whole season, per day in this format. That's when you need to be adaptable as well.
And I wanted to kind of bring it back to full circle. Something we talked about originally was it's only 5 games. We're used to kind of seeing either 6 games one day or a total of 12, right? Spread across. Only 5 games, though it's one less. It sounds like, it's just one less game. It's actually that much harder.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely tough. And one thing that I want to talk about, right, when it comes to the mentality that the players must be thinking about to qualify to the global championship, right, for these upper bracket teams, you pretty much had to place bare minimum top 10, right? And that's EU. That was a very, very large region. But for a lot of the smaller regions, it was a lot tighter for that, right? So they're used to kind of like winning or placing very, very high. Yesterday, they had to get bottom 25, right? So surely that's kind of affecting the mental a little bit. But then those last chance major teams, they're used to clutching up. I mean, they made it all the way to the last event of the year, right? The last one to actually make it to the global championships, they clutched up. Today is a clutch situation.
Yeah, and one team that is synonymous with clutch, Steno and Lucy. I was speaking to a few people earlier, a few people were around me. I was like, who do you think is going to win today? I think they were Danish. They said Steno and Lucy. And they're Danish as well, of course. This is a fantastic. I'm excited to see how this duo. Yeah, give it a round of applause.
Wow.
Give it a cheer. Why not? Yeah, give it. Because, I mean, these guys are fantastic. I really love watching them play. They just seem to know how each other plays so well. They vibe off each other so well as well. And, of course, they have LAN experience as well. They did so great at Gamers Day. I think it was last year they did so great. So I'm excited to see if they can continue and bring that LAN experience, that chemistry that they have in a LAN environment to this event. Because, I mean, they have the fans for it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's say, you know, we have these 5 games. Do we just send everything, right? At this point, we've got to make top 25. You could argue maybe just try and do something and kind of keep any kind of strategy secret and just hope that you can kind of save that for tomorrow. With only 5 games, though. Is that enough wiggle room, man? I feel like it's just not. You just got to go full send now.
Nah, I mean, if you're holding back now, I think you're trolling a little bit, honestly, right? Right? I mean, full send for sure. And that's the thing, though, about Fortnite. And I love the fact that you're talking about strategy because I feel like we have 2 major different play styles, right? People who like to play a little bit more passive, and then we have those aggressive duos, ones that are looking for those one pop-off games with 10+ eliminations. I'll be excited to see which duos kind of pull out each one of those strategies.
Yeah, and of course, I think you have to just use the strategies that you practice for the first couple of games. If things go wrong and you have to pull out the grand final strategy, then do it. Because if you don't do it now, you might not even make it to the grand final. So there's no point in hiding them away. We saw some great strats yesterday from Zagu and Pepper with using the shield mushrooms to get some extra surge. Some great ideas from these teams that we haven't seen on other regions, and that's what this is all about. Who's going to pull what out of the hat?
I love that too. I mean, social media yesterday and even today was just like, what is their strategy? Yes, that's what we want to see. We want to see what they're thinking, what they're cooking, and then come out tomorrow. And that could be like the difference maker, them winning and becoming global champions. That would just be wild. Another duel, you know, we cannot not talk about them. It's King, it's Phaser. They did not make the top 25, but yesterday, King hit just the most disgusting snipe shots. The double back-to-back to the dome to secure Surge as well. What can they do here?
I mean, that's just skill. Seriously, there's no like coach, there's no VOD reveal, and that'll allow you to hit those shots. So, you know, obviously the skill is on this duo. It's just all about clutching up, right? Finding the cohesion. And I think today they're actually switching up their drop shots. So I'll be excited to see if it ends up working out for them in that regard.
Yeah, they're sort of switching up the way that they drop all the way down there at the Relentless Retreat. We saw them sort of contesting a team there yesterday. It was Cal Gamer and 7man. They're both still going there, but they're doing it in a different sort of way. I'm interested to see how that Osborne goes. I think for both teams, it didn't really work out. They were both sort of stuck in no man's land. What's going on? Are we going to try and fight? Are we going to try and disengage? I didn't even know what was going on there, so maybe they're going to try and be a little more structured today. They're going to either fight or they're going to disengage. I think it's going to be the latter because the stakes are that much higher.
You saw him on screen there for a moment. Kanata, Agers. Oh, let's bring it back, okay? Kanata, Agers going up against Thomas HG yesterday. It felt pretty one-sided, right? They had a couple games off spawn. Are they contested today?
Nope. Nope. And honestly,
they qual.
Yeah, well, that's what I would say. That's what I predict, right? But Kanata, you know, he hit the socials. He was like, yeah, we only made it off spawn 2 games. And both of those games, headshots. Yeah. Headshot snipes actually were the ones that actually ended up closing out their games for them in both of those scenarios. So maybe there's something they have to switch up a little bit there. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment. Maybe they're not used to dealing with those snipers, but I'm sure they can do it.
I mean, the biggest problem for this team throughout this whole year was Storm Surge coming out of that racetrack spot. And they were uncontested in Major number 3 Grand Finals. They fixed their Storm Surge problems, and Vivid, would you like to remind me what happened in Major 3 Grand Finals on NA?
Oh, they won.
Oh, they won, that's right. So hopefully today, if they can find that same mentality, that same way of playing, they'll do all right.
Well, I'm getting word. It is that time. We are about to kick off the lower bracket of Global Championship Day number 2. So casters, take us in.
Now is the moment you have all been waiting for. Game 1 of the lower bracket is ready to get underway. And Taco, if I had a seat here, I would be on the edge of my seat ready to call this action.
You can feel the nerves that have just been kicking the entire time. Everyone here is just wide awake. And the battle bus is as well, because we're already heading into game number 1.
This is it. This is the start of a journey for some, the continued journey for others. We've already seen some drop spots being switched up. Other players are sticking straight to the plan, but we're going ahead and looking at some of these contested battles right out of the game. Reason and Janice going up against Curve and Whiskey a little bit, but it looks like they're actually going to split off. They don't want to go ahead and hold on to one spot, and as soon as they realize it's safe, they go back to the game plan.
Up at the far north side, Giannis immediately heading for this crude harbor drop. It seems as though Giannis and Reason, maybe with the intentions of not trying to eat early surge damage, but as we can tell, the 50-50s, they have begun. Teams that got the better drops already letting their opponents know. Chubbs with an early 2-piece eliminations to start the game.
Yeah, this is his continued journey from yesterday. He fell below that top 25 threshold, looking to make up for it here today. Pamstu and Fatch, on the other hand, they thought they were going to have a huge contested battle. We saw it yesterday, but it doesn't look like Stains and Data are going to go ahead and contest them, or at least not right out of the gates.
Stain and Data is maybe taking a moment to reconsider things, given how the circumstances went up against Seti and Cammy yesterday. But here at Kenjutsu Crossing, Adapter, KS, trying to be careful. They know that they've got pressure looming elsewhere inside of this POI. It's going to be Suns and Anon, who actually seemingly switched up. Initially, were appearing as though Suns and Anon were going to head towards Naughty Nets, but maybe because of Badil and Savage's presence, thought otherwise.
Yeah, they had it uncontested yesterday. Did not work out for them. So I feel like they're just confident. They're ready to take whatever challenge is going to be before them. They want a little bit more loot, a clear path towards the middle of the zone, even though this time it's on the corner. And right now they're trying to go for the flag, and third-party shots already interrupting this off-spawn battle. That's going to force Adapter back, and he might have to go ahead and loot. He only has one combat SMG and not much to work with. But while they giving him time, that's FKS. They're trying to put the pressure on, so that way his teammate can get a better loadout.
But at the same time, they're just letting the capture point go for free. And in fact, it seems as though there is some danger hanging on over by Naughty Nets. Saw a nice collection elimination there from Steno onto Mr. Savage. That could definitely play some spoiler effects for game 1.
But if Fadil finds himself alive somehow, some way, you heard all the nice things Mr. Savage said about him, but make some noise. Clicks and Epic Well contested over towards Mega City, but I feel like that's no different. All season long, they've been contested about 2 or 3 other teams, but there's so much space to work with. There's so much loot to share. As long as they don't get caught off guard, it's business as usual.
But at the same time, there is so much traffic inside of Mega City, and as far as the vault is concerned, there's definitely something worth fighting over. You have to expect that regardless of where that high card spawn is at, people are going to be looking to make sure to take out whoever actually secures that vault key card.
Oh, wow. It's actually, they weren't necessarily contested. They were taken out on their drop. You saw Vadil go ahead and get that reboot card, trying to give his teammate a second chance at life. Oak is here, ready to put some respect on his name, already getting 1 elimination. He's looking for another, but first he has a stop to make. Let's clean up this loot. Let's try to get as jam-packed as possible. You see the fallen teammate, Deguro, was going to be right above him. He knows no matter what, as he continues his journey, he's going to have to try to get that reboot card, because doing this alone is not something anybody wants to face.
But at the same time, that siphon there for Okis definitely gave him a nice little bit to work with in comparison to Dieta, who doesn't have shields. If Okis wants to pressure this, he's definitely more than capable of doing so, but it seems as though his mentality right now is just to stay on the move. Being in this sort of solo situation, deep in the jungle biome here at Rumble Ruins, especially in this lower elevation territory, he might be able to sneak up on some other teams.
Yeah, I like the way you mentioned Surge as one of the first things, because yesterday, if it's shown us anything, Surge is not the easiest thing to come by in a lobby like this. and uncontested this time around. Canal and Agers getting a chance to fight off Spawn, and immediately they go to what they know works from the past, trying to get Surge underneath their own belt, so that way they don't have to worry about it too much later in the game. But Vico and Pink, another team that has experience from day one, contested by Acorn and Cold. This time around, they're ready to take their fights to their opponent, and on the other side of things, it is going to be Bully and Shadow.
But look at this hype battle as well between Pink and Bully, both of them trying to provide cover fire for their fraggers down below. As far as Vico and Shadow are concerned, a little bit of a pause here, not directly trying to challenge. Seems as though Vico is trying to look for a regroup circumstance, but again, you have to keep some form of a barrier between yourself and another team. Bully just trying to do what he can as far as making sure that he's able to suppress Pink in the process, but they're not trying to give up any sort of resources for free here.
Yeah, and you can kind of already see in the mini-map just a little bit. You're seeing it here. Bully and Shadow, they had no intention on trying to take that engage. They split up to try to get even more Surge early on in the game before the zone does get too small. Snazy and Podesai probably have the fan favorites on their side in the stadium. I hear them loud and proud already, and they're trying to go ahead and use that energy to fuel them here today. A little bit of a misstep on day one, but they're picking themselves up, dusting themselves off, and ready to put on a show.
Just because you stumble doesn't mean you fall, and it's got to be such an invigorating feeling knowing that you have so many fans in the venue just cheering for you every step of the way. It's not even like these guys are getting a piece of the action right yet. They're just moving, and you've got the French fans cheering for them. It's just awesome to see that kind of display.
One of the best controller players in the lobby. Polarized, teamed up with Scented over on the other side. They're taking the split that in day one belonged to another team. It's probably part of their strategy. Use this to try to qualify. We'll figure it out later, because that's the biggest things. At this stage in the game, there's no reason to save all your secrets for that championship Sunday, because you have to be able to make it there. Mini Miner said it himself to open up the show, because what good are those strategies? What good are those tricks underneath your sleeves if you're not able to use them in the biggest moments possible?
Trouble now. Not for Podesai just yet, kind of lurking around this bush. He knows that he's got a couple contenders down beneath him, and as for Shalom and MK Papa, they want to take their time. I mean, kind of tough to try and fight that uphill battle, quite literally. So instead, just continue to wait things out, wait for a better opportunity to look for a rotation out. It can be difficult as well when you're playing right here on the edge side of where these zone pulls are happening, because again, for Podesai, it seems as though the intent is just to prioritize positioning.
One team that changed their positioning overall to another, King, Phaser. You can already see they're over towards Shatter Slab. Zone is pulling all the way towards the eastern side of the map. They have a long journey to go, and you can even see it at the edge of Mega City here on Pink and Vico. So they have even more rotations to go later on in the game. But for now, it's Batman, Booga, and Rapid who beat them to the punch. The top of the hill, just west of Mega City. And they immediately got out of Mega City, because that's one of the things we talked about to start the show, is how contested it actually is. They could easily take a building on top, but they're taking a little bit of the safer route, or what they thought would be, because right now Pink and Vico are slowly but surely looking like they're going to try and sneak up and see if they have any opportunity to take over. But as you can see in the mini-map, they're going to choose to go the other way. It's not something they want to battle this early on in the game.
You can already see some shots, though, coming from a little bit of a distance here. Rapid just trying to be wary of his surroundings, and it makes perfect sense why you'd want to ditch from Mega City ASAP when there's 4 separate teams landing there. Again, it's just so much traffic to actually deal with, so why risk it when every single game can be so important? I think for Rapid and Batman Booga, not necessarily getting max resources, max materials, it's not as bad as it might initially look, because they can always find the refreshes after the fact, because again, Storm Surge strategies were definitely an issue for a lot of teams in day one. And this is day 2. It's not like the competition's gotten any less.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of these teams taking that prime real estate to where they know players are going to rotate into. The deal, we've seen him go for the reboot card onto Mr. Savage. Uncontested Northati Nets. That's a no-brainer that he's going to get him back into the game, back up as a duo. But as you can see in the minimap, they are split up. They called out this strategy to start the game. They're trying to cover more ground. They're trying to take more space away. This also allows them to get better lines of sight around the map for their Storm Surge. They already know what has happened in the past when Storm Surge is lacking. It forces you to make plays. It's almost like you don't have control over the game, and they are trying to do their best to keep control of their own destiny.
It's definitely something that has haunted Mr. Savage and Vidil all chapter long as far as Major 3 was concerned, even leading into that last chance Major, where we saw them switching up their drop spot even over to Drift Ridge just because of the fact that Mr. Savage is mentioning he doesn't like to be contested. Sure, they got it uncon then, but it's still never easy whether you're uncon or contested as far as establishing a solid Storm Surge strategy.
Yep, Fanayan and Moneymaker. Moneymaker probably one of our youngest players competing here today, showing that anything is truly possible as long as you have a chance, and they've given themselves just that, an opportunity on the biggest stage in the world when it comes to Fortnite. And you can already see the augment that he's choosing out. First Assault, Scope Salvo, two of the biggest ones that are needed when it comes to Storm Surge. It's going to allow them to keep their distance and keep hitting those shots.
Like seeing this from Kitos as well. We're talking about augments, but right now the prioritization's onto Snazy. And it's looking good. Trying to see if they can push forward in this box fight. Shots being taken by Podesai as well, just an even trade out so far. No real damage inflicted by either side just yet. But Yuma and Jaemon, they can definitely feel the pressure, and Podesai definitely aware of the fact that they've got more company coming.
Ooh, already taking advantage of their positioning high up on the side of that mountain, trying to third party take some shots onto both Pink and Vico, who took down Okus, adding more to their own Storm Surge. Weapon cache are going to be there, and you can see Yuma and Jaemon probably share that same weapons cache, so they're going to be forced to wait till Snazy and Podesai leave off of this spot to try to pick up the scraps, figure out whatever is left along. But a team that, you know, taking a lot of time towards Slappy Shores. My only question for them is how is their surge? Because a lot of the teams are on the western side of the zone for now. They haven't begun to rotate over towards Slappy Shores. Not a lot of teams landing here right out of the gates. So for them, that's probably what's on their mind right now. We've looted up, we've got everything we need. Now we just need Storm Surge.
And hey, we're talking about Storm Surge so often for Pink and Vico. This is going to be a massive contributing factor, getting that elimination onto Okus, just taking full advantage of that 2v1 situation. And that's something that's not necessarily going to be easiest to come by at this stage of the game. And for Rapid and Matmambuga, again, we revisit, we talk about the fact they left Mega City so early, and they just haven't managed yet to find that pressure situation to actually secure eliminations for the refreshes that they would like. And they don't necessarily have time to just farm resources either, because there's other teams moving in at this point. There's other teams already establishing good positioning off of earlier rotation. So if you try to expend your time farming resources, you're just going to keep getting lit up.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at 7-man's inventory now, you can already see they won the ball over towards Relentless Retreat, but it's a little unorthodox. Typically, you would grab something to pack a punch, whether it's a Sharp Tooth, an Infiltrator, or even a Maven, but he's going to go without it for now, hoping that that Mythic Stinger does more than enough damage in a moment's notice to be able to survive. It all depends on how you control that recoil, honestly, because I remember that thing go brr.
It's so obvious that the intention, though, is that up-close and personal battle. The question is, will they actually manage to force themselves into that type of situation? And Rift Island can definitely be a location where we'd expect those battles to come, but even all throughout day one, we hardly saw any sort of contestation over this Rift Island. Senate on the way up, though, definitely having some issues as far as maintaining his shields are concerned. Those are going to be completely depleted. Granted, they have ample shield potions to make up for it, but it's going to be Hen, it's going to be Bask actually looking to contest. They don't want to let this Rift Island objective points go for free.
If only they saw the damage that was put on both of these players before they even touched down on the island. Surely they would try to take advantage of it. And you can see one man's trash, another man's treasure. Miro and Cooper sneaking up on the side, trying to take away the position. The French team of Snazy and Podesai also willing to contest this Rift Island. And that's one of the things I was thinking. It was very, very passive yesterday. Even solos were able to take it. But as the VOD review goes on, as time passes, players are going to realize there's nobody up there. But when everybody thinks the same, now we have 4 teams on top of Rift Island ready to battle it out. One of them, Hen and Vask, 141 above the damage threshold. They're going to be the ones to contain it, plus 15 points for them, and that's going to be huge because we already see teams qualify with those points of the objectives.
Every little bit counts, but we've gotten a good idea of what's been happening directly in game so far. However, got a mid-game analyst to give us a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Taco. I just want to catch everyone up on our hometown heroes of Steno and Lush, who were able to get an elimination on Mr. Savage before he even hit the ground. Then we saw Steno be able to find a key, which he used to unlock a mythic shotgun. Quickly, they regrouped, built up a surge tower, and as you can see, they have vision on 2 duos of Jamin and Kanata, setting themselves up for an excellent mid and late game. So let's see how they do.
Only time will tell to see how it pays off. They definitely got themselves a good spot in the zone thanks to those plays.
And that's the thing, too, about those teams that are landing more towards the south side. It is so easy for other teams with slightly earlier drops to just pick you off with the elevation difference. It's one primary issue definitely known about that Naughty Nets area, but you can always expect to bounce back. I mean, we already saw the deal with the successful reboot ban onto Savage, so easy to say that anything can happen in these circumstances.
You can see it started at 181 above the damage threshold. Pamstu and Fatch slowly falling back down, climbing back up, trading shots back and forth. You have their eyes set towards Rift Island. They see a giant monument being built on top as Polaroids actually took down Snazy up above. And this is going to be a huge opportunity for them as they're just looking around. Nobody's directly pushing up onto them, even though they are split. They're just looking for these fights that are already underway and just trying to take advantage of it the best that they can. And just looking at the island right now, I didn't see Scented either.
Miro and Cooper are looking awfully vicious, though, in that position. You can just tell that they are waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, and it's got to be only a matter of time. They can tell that there is so much chaos already unfolding on top of this Rift Island. Teams are just constantly under pressure, both outside and right here directly at the Rift Island. But for Vask and for Hen, again, you have to remember, they're the ones who actually secured the capture point here. So they've got some decent loot to go with it. And Miro and Cooper, if there was ever a time to try and take down another team and, you know, get plenty of refills as far as your materials are concerned and your weapons, that is definitely the opportunity.
Yeah, elimination feed is lighting up. A lot of players being forced to interact with each other thanks to that storm surge. Seeing Vortex go down. Even Duke's trying to rise to the occasion here today after his performance yesterday, trying to qualify for the FNCS Global Championship Final tomorrow. Jamon goes down. Yuma's going to have to leave him behind, but he's only 72 above the Storm Surge threshold, but now he's becoming the focus of multiple teams in this lobby right now. It's not looking good. HP is going to be down low. Shields are going to be ripped off, and the shots continue. Finally, though, he does have a short moment to breathe, but that's only going to give him enough time to pop one Mimi. The Shalom and MK Pop are over on the other side. They probably know that he's a solo. They saw him crash land in with that rocket ram, and this is something that they're trying to take advantage of.
For Shalom and MK Papa, they've just been playing bouncer responsibility on this edge of zone, and granted it just moved in a little bit tighter, but for Yuma, now you can see him starting to get lit up by some of that storm surge. Accountability as far as your surge strategies are concerned, it can be very difficult to maintain it throughout because there is just so much action happening as some of the congestion builds along this edge of zone and teams needing to move even further in. Players like Yuma are bound to get caught out on those later rotations.
Yeah, you can see they're even willing to risk it. Shalom and MK Papa, they got the elimination, or at least they saw it towards the backside of zone, but they didn't have very many materials at all. So it was almost an all or nothing situation if they want to keep as best chance as possible for them to try to stay alive. I see a Vico. I don't see Pink. You got to imagine, he is by himself as a solo, and he's suffering to surge right now. 13 below the threshold. Now he's in zone. Everything crumbling down. Only a few seconds to try to land the shot that matters, and he's not going to be given that opportunity. Down goes Pink. Down goes Vico.
But a massive pickup there for Yuma. Still utilize that rocket ram to try and close the gap even further and make sure that he's maintaining a decent distance on that backside of the zone. Kanata, meanwhile, next to Agers, trying to be vigilant with his awareness. And again, so many teams just trying to keep tabs on where everybody else is in the lobby. And players like Ping, there are a decent amount of pressure here, but they will manage to prevail. Nicely timed shots, nicely placed aim as well with that sharp tooth to ensure that they can acquire that elimination.
Yeah, and since he got eliminated altogether, got to imagine Moneymaker went down earlier on in this same game. We saw Polarize, the one that took down Snazy, leaving Podesai by himself. At least he's above the damage threshold for now, but quickly falling below. Now he knows he's going to have to try to find and catch somebody off guard, because otherwise he's going to have no choice but to try to get in the box, slowly but surely biding his time, trying to make sure that he makes the right play. And this is an opportunity for him to really rise to the occasion by himself. And with Storm Surge starting off for now, that at least allows him to breathe, restabilize himself in that position. Edgy goes down outside of zone. It wasn't a knock. So Duke and Edgy are also out of this game. Action is moving so fast, and we're not even into the placement points yet.
The zone pull, a little bit brutal for some of these teams as it just keeps getting closer and closer to that edge side. And again, for Agers and Kanata, as we get another opportunity to see from where we last left off with them, Kanata's got to be careful with his rocket ram on the landing. So many teams, and right on the side of this hill. It can be difficult. He's trying to work his way back up already. Fully understanding the fact that he doesn't want to have to play from the low ground, but he'll be forced to take shelter, utilize some of his Memnis. Unfortunately for him, only has those mini shield potions, won't actually get an opportunity to get full shields. And for Agers, this is even worse.
Yeah, he only has 23 HP, doesn't have time to sit back. Nice. Huge siphon and refresh for Agers, because now he's boosted up in the mats. He has a little bit more HP to work with. The flopper, the med kit he can use in-game, and if him, Kanata, can find a way to reunite, he has the minis and another knock onto QNDX. Agers doing what he did in their championship run. The siphon's going to be picked up, but he has to get to zone. This is a 5-tick. Time is running out, and another Menmith. Miracle upon miracle landing in the palm of Agers' hands.
He's trying to do what he can to make it across, but this hill phase is just so problematic. Still, the Menmis plus the med kit, he just doesn't have the mobility that he'd be hoping for. With so many teams having already pushed in, he might just barely make it in the nick of time. He's got to find another siphon opportunity, but even just making it this far is more than enough.
I feel like I heard him on stage. Don't worry, Kanata, I'm coming. Don't worry. Med kit being used, minis being dished out, and they are back into the game. The resurgence from day one as we get a replay from Clix and Epicwell. One of the biggest teams everybody came to see. They get aggressed on due to Storm Surge, and they shine bright. Storm Surge is not a problem from them as they pick up 2 eliminations.
Check out where Bryce and Chubbs are at, a little bit more isolated than some of these other teams that are trapped inside of all this congestion. Mr. Savage and Badil, though, from Rags to Riches at the beginning of this game, they have done a decent, if not a phenomenal job at putting themselves into a comeback situation.
Some of these teams who we're asking, do you got what it takes to get your ticket onto the battle bus? What about the roller coaster this team is going through from down the mountain, across the rivers, over towards Naughty Nets? I think best case scenario, honestly, Taco, is it going south, continuing on towards that island. If it goes back on over to the west, this is going to be a nightmare for anybody that doesn't have mats, as Clix is using the last little bit that he does have left, but he finds another elimination on the ping.
These perfectly timed rotations from Clix, managing to find these players who are looking to just find that final push inward. But again, this is the beauty of being able to play from that backside of the zone. Still, Clix, Epic trying to be careful, and we are getting a little glimpse here of a team that's momentarily on high. Whether or not Fishy and DMK are going to be able to hold this is a different question entirely, but for the time being, they look well situated to carry themselves into the top 10 at least.
Even though they have high ground now, they might have to wait for some of those teams below them to try to build that allow them to save some resources, save some mats as they make their way across the roster once more. Podesai, 131 below the damage threshold. Only a big pot to his name. So right now he's peeking through the cone. He's trying to just get as much information as possible. Where can I get this damage? But time is running out. He continues to fall well below that threshold as Savage picks up another elim. Vadil goes down, but it's actually Epicwell who falls to Mr. Savage, trying to keep himself alive. Storm Surge isn't a worry, but it's the HP, it's the zone that's pulling away.
So unfortunate though. Savage gonna be unable to do anything in terms of helping out the deal. Simply has to watch and wait, continue their run That flopper, though, along with the crash pads, does a great job placing him into the zone. Mr. Savage moving through all the traffic, eating shots as well, but doesn't care in the slightest. He's just continuing to push forward. He's making his own path through.
He's not going to be the most healthy anybody in the lobby can be, but he's definitely going to give himself enough wiggle room to work with. His Click's now going to be a solo, probably one of the more prolific solo players in the game. He finds a knock on the hand, but unable to finish it up. He gets taken out by Podesai.
Podesai as well. The fact that he's managed to stay this far into the game as a solo, you just know that he is going absolutely insane right now, trying to keep the run alive. Rocket Rams as well, destroying so many builds in the process. These players continue to rotate through, but that materials refresh is going so far, and it's actually Bryce and Chubbs now at the top of the lobby, but builds running incredibly low.
Yeah, multiple top 10 performances in the major this year. I think Bryce and Chubbs are one of the teams that are falling under the radar, and they're ready to make a statement, just like Komet, but he runs out of time, he runs out of space, he goes down as his Bendis runs dry.
Kanata, another mini, going to be popped. The patience. It's so hard to be patient through all this chaos as well. It's so easy to get distracted and think, okay, this is the perfect time to strike. A drop down to the low ground here for Kanata. Recognize the fact that he's got some players directly above him. Still has a couple of mini shield pushes he can utilize. Source, on the other hand, won't make it through. Cooper going absolutely nuclear with the back-to-backs here. Cooper just won't let it go. He's actually got it.
It's actually Bryce and Chubbs. I thought it as well. I thought Cooper just stole away the game, but it's Bryce and Chubbs. I call them one of the most underrated teams falling under the radar this weekend. They played phenomenally to make it to this point, and they make a statement here in game one of the lower bracket. Frankie, how are they feeling?
How are you feeling? I mean, my friends up in the casting booth would like to know, so I will ask you first, Bryce.
I'm feeling good.
Are you feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the fact that you just took a victory royale here on land in Copenhagen?
Yeah, I'm nervous.
I can understand why you might be nervous. I do have a very scary face, so I'm going to come over to you, Chubbs. Talk me through the last moments of that game.
I don't know. We just took high and we won.
You took high. Okay, well, talk to me about the journey there. Did you feel like the zone was in your favor the whole time?
No, it wasn't at all.
Okay, well, how did you get around that situation then? How are you able to make the most of what maybe wasn't the most ideal situation?
Just, we got surge and we had forecast, so we just went where the zone was.
There you go. Simple. Everyone hopefully listening here will find out how to win a victory royale on land thanks to these two. Just before I let you go, do you think you can overcome the nerves and pick up another victory royale today?
Yes, I think we can.
Brilliant. Wow, you know what? Now you've said that, I think you can too. Copenhagen, please give it up for Bryce and Chubbs.
You know, I thought the games yesterday were crazy, but game number one of the lower bracket does not disappoint. Bryce and Chubbs taking forecast, using that to just help them get ahead of the storm, even though they were in the toughest spot. It didn't matter. They were able to adapt. Yes, there's some nerves, but they overcame.
I love that interview, right? Getting asked, hey, you feel like the zones were in your favorite? No, they weren't. I don't think they were in anybody's favorite mini. I mean, a zone pulling over to Naughty Nets and then pulling back to the mainland. That was a roller coaster of a ride. But Bryce and Chubbs, they found the high ground in the end, and they made it work.
I mean, these guys land all the way to the north of the map, even more north than Creaky Compound, so high up there. Of course, as they mentioned, they had the forecast, which helped them get the step ahead. And I really love the way they took height right there. A little rocket ram play to knock out Towels and Fishy, who were up there for seemingly a long time in that end game. And from that point on, they were just riding out all of their materials, all of their heals. I think at one point there in that end game, I think I saw Bryce with a fishing rod. You know when you're carrying a fishing rod in the last zone? Things are looking rough, but it didn't work out too bad for him, did it?
Absolutely. Day number... They're feeling a little overwhelmed, and now they just got to bring it back. More of what you do in game number two. Now let's take a look at these standings. I want to see how this went. Now, of course, There's actually so much to talk about. Really quickly, let's highlight the duo in second place there, Cooper and Miro. We saw Chubbs and Bryce. It almost could have gone the way of Cooper, but riding as a solo rider, still a second place after the first game. That is a way. We hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad you brought these guys up because yesterday wasn't too great for Cooper and Miro, and I love the way that Cooper played that endgame. Such a clutch moment for him. And paired up with Miro, when these guys got together, I think a lot of people were asking questions. Wait, Miro is playing with Cooper? This up-and-coming player? Miro himself? And I think Cooper has just proved why he deserves to play with Miro, a player of his caliber. He's clutching in the big moments on the big stage, and it didn't quite work out in a victory royale for them, but what a start. That's the exact start we want to see from them to improve on yesterday.
I got to point out, though, it was close, right? Cooper finding the one knock, I was like, wait, it's doable. I think one more second, I think he would have found that other rhythm and clutched it up.
Mad close. Another duel we have to highlight, Aegis and Kanata being uncontested. Man, the way they navigated that last little bit of endgame there, I just love how kind of brave Kanata went. Like, I don't know if brave's the right word. Maybe like, let's just rocket ram on the side of this kind of cliff and we'll just see what we find. But once again, man, you're going to do what you have to do. And for him to have this start, this is the surge we need.
You're going to say, oh, the way that they traversed the endgame. No. This was a Kanata solo clutch. But let's not forget, Aegis had his own just right before this and actually made his way all the way to Kanata. So it was almost like they were kind of like passing the torch, right? It's like, oh, okay, I done solo clutch. Now you go ahead and get us a couple more points. Third place. And I mean, I want to point something out. Look at the top four. Look at the NA representation at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing good. It's good to see. I like it. You know, they're doing very good. I mean, we still have time. 4 more games to go, right? I have big expectations of people like Janice and Reason. Even, can I remind you, who took control of the island in that last game? Was it an EUGO? Yes, it was. I'll give you the answer straight away. And that was something that I was really surprised at as well, that island contestation. Yeah. So many more teams went up for it seemed like, but no one wanted to go all the way and try and claim it. It was Han and Vasquez who ended up saying, you know what? This is ours. It doesn't matter about anyone else. I think everyone else kind of like half went for it and think, you know what, I'm getting off this.
What's odd though is like, yes, for like one moment, right? They're right next door. And then suddenly it's like, you've got Snazy Podesai rifting on up. You've got people kind of hopping over old builds. But why did no one want to take this fight, right? If we're all going to take and burn our resources or do whatever we have to get up there, why did we just give that to them for free?
You know, me and Minnie, we were watching sort of the west side of that zone, and there were so many teams that actually ended up being congested on that side of the zone, which means that all of these teams that were actually up on the Rift Island, they were happy with their position because they were getting free damage, right? Free shots off on so many teams below them. So why would you go ahead and take the fight? I mean, sure, you know, the capture point is worth those 15 points, but when you can get that much surge and actually traverse it into the end game, you might as well take that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And we were speaking about these sort of storm surge strategies. We often see teams build storm surge strategies depending on how the lobby works. Who's landing where? How can we rotate and get as much damage as we can? These guys haven't had very long at all to prepare for this, right? They haven't had a time at all. So I'm expecting some more drama in the next few games.
Absolutely. And why don't we hear from the players themselves? They have their own thoughts on mid-match objectives. Take a look.
The mid-match objectives are really important towards the game.
That could be the difference between you winning and you getting top 5.
Big risk sometimes, but if you're good at fighting, it will make the game so much more easier.
For the first objective of the game, the forecast tower, there's a lot of reward. I mean, you get 2 slurps, a gold AR, and you can see the future zones.
Você pega uma torre que ela prevê a safe, né? Então, isso é uma vantagem tipo ridícula. 電波塔は取ったら1位取れるぐらい重要です。
If we see that it's not a big risk, then we go for it.
It makes the game so much more easier if you get it.
But there's definitely a risk, and you might lose all your mats, your heals, and you might even get eliminated.
The Rift Island made the game more interesting for the teams that are going into endgame and know they don't have a lot of loot.
It makes the game more aggressive.
The risk is that many people go for it because of the points.
It can be up to like 8 to 10 people on one island all fighting in one really close area, and it gets really hectic.
The fights at the mid-match objectives are going to be intense because of the high reward, but it can be the downfall of some players if they get eliminated.
It gives you max mats, it gives you everything that you need to win the game. The sacrifice is that everyone can see you if you're up there.
It's a finals lobby and people are probably going to be scared to go for it.
Towards the later games, like when people really need that jump, if they're trying to place as high as possible, the reward will be a lot higher, but the risk is also be a lot higher, so we'll see how it turns out.
命をかけて電波と、はいもう
Those 15 points can just make or break your entire game.
And that could be the difference between 10,000, 100,000, even 500,000.
Se você ganhar o campeonato, você muda a tua vida, literalmente.
So it's definitely something to prioritize and something that we're looking to play for as well.
The two takeaways. Forecast Towers willing to put their lives on the line for it. And if you get the Forecast Towers, you're probably going to end up like Bryson Chubbs there in game number 1, finding their first Victory Royale of the day.
Yeah, and they got 3 points for it, even though it was Hen and Vasquez that were able to get the 15 for Rift Island. That's just showing overall how important it is to plan around these things, but also have a plan B just in case things go wrong. But the right thing is game number 2, and it's about to start now.
Game 1 did not disappoint in the slightest. Game 2, I expect to deliver all the same, if not more, as these teams, some of them getting a little bit of a taste of what that 50-50 contest is like at the start, but we definitely saw plenty of teams taking things relatively slow, really just trying to prioritize their resources off rip. But for FKS, Adapter, they want all of Kenjutsu to themselves. Suns nearly E-land on the drop, and yet Suns and Non just barely gonna manage to get out of this one.
Yeah, and it almost looks like they want to chase him down. They're over wondering, was that bush there before? Is that something new? Shots got fired through. Just a sliver of HP left. He finally gets knocked down. Forget Luton when we could pick up these early game eliminations. That kind of leaves Anon all by himself, but luckily he was able to get across to the other side of Kenjutsu's crossing, but the timer is on. He only has a certain amount of time before he can get that reboot card back. Luckily, those Suns hasn't been fully eliminated just yet, so the timer actually hasn't started just yet.
But surely Anon knows Suns merely being toyed with at this point by Adapter and FKS. FKS will finish off that elimination. Wants to collect the Siphon and the 4 elimination points to go with it, but meanwhile, Hall of Whispers could definitely see some action here. Depends on how Yuma and Jaemon actually want to play it out. Right now, Yuma, Jaemon doing their best to just try and get some materials going, because you can't really have a box fight if you don't have any boxes to build.
Yeah, and it looks like Moneymaker and Fornite not wanting to push up just yet. They're still getting things going, waiting for it to flow. Clicks and Epic Well over on the other hand. Mega City, they had a phenomenal first game. They sit inside of the top 25 after 1 game. If they can keep this pace going, we will see them on the Grand Finals Championship Sunday. Only time will tell though, because they're actually split up right now. They are so far split to do different buildings of Mega City. Zazie and AIM, Batman Booga and Rapid are the 2 other teams. Nobody really wanted to push and contest just yet, but Moneymaker and Fornite just end up going down low to the low ground, getting chased by Jaemon and Yuma, backed up into a corner, very little options to work with, and this is exactly what you were talking about. These bog fights, they need materials in order to be able to come out on top, because eventually, if you didn't farm up as much in the early game, you will run out quick, and that's when they'll strike.
It just seems as though Yuma and Jaemon, they've got their prey perfectly trapped here. Fornite, Moneymaker, this is quite a sticky situation. Backs literally against the wall here. Might have an opportunity. Moneymaker does have that rocket ram available. Keep in mind the height that it can cover, but at the same time, Fornite as well, but they'll still be relatively exposed. If they do try to utilize these rocket rams, there is still a chance that Jaemon or Yuma might potentially look to take them out here.
See them using the EMP grenades, trying to just at least sniff off some of the shields. Not very many left in their back pocket. Snazy, Podesai over on the other side of the map. Looting up pretty safely. Not too many teams contesting them. Maybe one north of Shattered Slabs. You know, King and Phaser are over on towards their left, and a double contestation on their south towards Relentless Retreat. And they're kind of using all the time that they have to their advantage, so that way they can have these safe rotations. That way they have an opportunity to play out, and they're going to be one of the first teams rotating out of that side. And Taco, I think we've seen this strategy before. FHD and Hero might be doing something that only one region has done so far on the weekend.
Zagu and Beppo are somewhat of an inspiration, one might say, as far as this strategy is concerned. I mean, you can see Bing trying to crawl away here, but that's just not going to be a possibility. The damage is being farmed. We talk about surge strategies all the time, and hey, if it works, it works.
Right now, he's got to be able to capture the other one, but it does look like Gon was able to kind of get his teammate eliminated. No free surge for you anymore, and he's hoping they move off that spot so that way he can get the reboot card back, get his teammate back into the game like we saw so many times in Game 1. And we saw how fruitful it was on those reboots. They were able to get far into the game and kind of make it worth their while to go for such a risky attempt at that. Kaizen and Clement split up, looting up, safe as can be. But Hen is doing the same thing, and nobody is nearby, at least for now. But the zone is going to force these guys over towards the east, maybe a little bit towards the north, so eventually they're going to run into some problems.
Hey, look, we talk all the time about players splitting off from each other, looking for opportunities. One might be prioritizing farming out resources, the other looking to try and secure as many search tags as possible. But when you are this far apart from your duo, you have to be certain that you are not going to have some unexpected companies spring up on you, because if that's the case and you're not able to actually provide that backup that you would like, it could be a very quick downward spiral before you have a chance to recover. King and Phaser, on the other hand, though, they're just looking to stick together. Death and Tahi, looks like they wanted this fight.
It's a bird, it's a plane, no. It's just Death and Tahi trying to go up and over King and Phaser. Didn't work out. They land right at the top of that mountain along with them. Shots going through the build for Phaser. Him and King, they've already had their chance yesterday to qualify. And not very many people get these second chances, and they're hoping to not waste it and let it dwindle away. And they're actually separated. They're almost box to box with their opponent with very little space in between. And this is where the strategy, formulating some sort of a plan, maybe a little bit of a bull rush to try to take them out while they're separated, while the strength in numbers is high.
This goes for both duos. You can't get too distracted and tunnel in on one unless you are certain that your time to elimination is going to be fast. Other teams already starting to take note of this battle that started to break out just outside of Shattered Slabs. And for Death and Tahi, King and Phaser, well, they've got a couple more problems than just each other to deal with right now.
All around the map, players are trying to rotate to some high elevated positions, grab their spot in zones so that way they can look back, try to hold people out. Where these players are positioned at, towards the northeastern side of the zone, they're kind of hoping it goes over towards Brutal Bastion, maybe even Sanguine Sweets, something that they can work with so they can hold their spot and gatekeep these players out. But Pixie, you can see him just putting some shots, not finding too much success, but he's not giving up very many shots either. But Vico is down. Now it's Bink's turn to try to hold 10 toes down. Nice shot, nice knock. Has to reload though. The mistake has happened, but he makes up for it. Pink stays alive, but there's still another player, a whole nother team hot on their heels, not wanting to let anybody survive in this position. This is what you call a phenomenal third party, but Pink wastes no time trying to disengage. He's trying to get out, and you realize Shalom and MK Papa, they're not going to be on the chase. They're just going to get the spoils of this battle and collect all that loot as if it was their own.
Pink definitely already got what he was looking for, though. Vico's reboot card on top of some initial materials to build with for his escape there. Nice utilization of the crash pad as well, just not trying to waste any further time. He already secured the clutch that he needed to for his teammate, and it's definitely early enough that he could certainly look for a reboot opportunity there onto Vico. We'll have to check back in with them later on. And as far as Polarized and Centered are concerned, again, it's not uncommon to see players willing to just look for these surge tag opportunities, build up a little tower temporarily close to their initial drop spots, try and see if they can tag anybody else who might be in the middle of their loop path. But as far as Polarized is concerned, when there's a push at the top of a building, and you know that building's not initially supposed to be there, Jacob, players are usually gonna box up around themselves while actually moving.
Yep. At least, you know, they're sticking to the game plan. They know teams got to rotate in that position eventually. Perza gets tagged up, trying to refarm as much as possible. His teammate doing the same thing. They get themselves a sliver of the zone just on the edge. They can easily move forward to try to get more position inside so that way they don't fall behind everybody else. In a lobby like this, that's not what you want to do. But down goes River. Skid's trying to make up for it. His teammate's very low HP. He's trying to give him time to breathe. The elimination and the siphon's going to go through, but it goes to Skids, who already was full health. River's trying to battle back with a little bit of that high ground, but he goes down all the same. Skids and Soraf are able to stay on top in that exchange, and now they get so much loot for their efforts.
5 eliminations, by the way, all for Skits and Soraf. You add that with a relatively decent placement, and these guys could be having the game to really mark themselves on the leaderboard. But the fact that they've already seen so much action, I'm curious as to how well it's going to translate in terms of how well they're going to be able to prioritize their positioning, because you have to expect that their surge damage is definitely well above the threshold.
Yep. And phenomenal performance to start this day. Didn't really go their day yesterday, but if at first you don't succeed, you try again. Bully and Shadow, you saw them kind of contested. And you can see that North America has won 4 of the 6 matches played this weekend. NA is showing that maybe it's not as EU strong as it once was at the Invitational, but this is only the first 2 days. We haven't received or played in the grand finals on Sunday just yet. Things can change because we know the EU region likes to go ahead and VOD review. They like to practice. They like to save some of those secrets, if I may say so myself.
Still, NA definitely looking like a decent amount of animals for the time being, and Kanata Nagers hoping to keep that trend going. Keep in mind, their day 1 certainly did not go the way that they would have hoped by any means. But the fact that they've even made it this far is already a testimony to the fact that day 2 was definitely looking better than yesterday's.
You can see how well it's going for them. This time around, Kanata and Agers off the drop, uncontested, but quickly moving around. With the zone pulling towards the east side yet again. It's only a wonder what happened and why they made an opposite decision of what they made last game. But I trust them. They're the ones who made it here. I'm the ones just in the stands. As Kaizen and Clement, they're not too far off where Kanata and Agers once just were. They're trying to hope. I think right now the strategy is to get as much surge as possible with a lot of teams that are rotating in from the south, that are rotating from the western side. And that way they could probably rotate later on in the game. They could probably be one of the first ones now that they don't have to worry about it. But for now, they're just getting their loot cache, just trying to go ahead and shield up and ready for this next rotation. As Ozzy does go down the top of Mega City. He gets surrounded by both Source and Yumi. And Aim's the one that's trying to disengage. In the distance, another team on top of Mega City just trying to get their surge there himself. He has plenty of heals to work with. My only worry is going to be that men miss the HP because Zone is going to be pulling forward, so he only has enough time for so much.
This array of heals, though, that Aim just keeps conveniently strolling through. You almost have to wonder if this was initially somebody else's base center over at Mega City. I mean, when you have several different teams that are choosing to prioritize landing there, you have to expect that players are going to be trying to accrue as many of those shield potions as possible, so that way they can maintain a good height positioning to look for those earlier surge tags. So definitely convenient for Aim. Not so much so here at the Creaky compound, though. Noxy Crisp under a decent amount of pressure. Head down overview, but it's going to be Shalon and Dmk Papa that are making the first strikes.
And you see they're fighting over that weapons cache, and Noxy and Chris, that third party, is like a fly at a picnic, just buzzing around, just taking some damage, forced them to kind of disengage off the fight that they were trying to be the aggressors on. And for Shalom and MK Papa, this is their chance here. They have the opportunity with so many extra heals there. They're already in zone. They could keep that base as theirs. Look elsewhere for Surge. Spot some teams trying to go for Rift Island. You saw them flying through the sky like majestic eagles. King and Phaser are trying to be one of the first ones there. They almost get beat to the punch by Moneymaker. And down goes King.
He's 100% beat them to the punch, along with F9. Those two probably not going to waste any time as far as trying to actually base up around that capture point on the Rift Island. They'll also have the convenience of being able to get that overhead view of all these teams underneath. As far as MK Papa is concerned, though, able to spot out the player across the way. It's going to be Miro. And Miro, Cooper, we saw them last time, kind of hovering around this Rift Island. They know that there's going to be a decent amount of players kind of taking note if we're basing it all off of how game 1 went so far. And with that in mind, Miro and Cooper, they definitely were able to get some tags in the process.
Nobody really contested Rift Island this time around. Looks like it could be a possible 15 free points for Moneymaker and Fnayan. They're going to secure that underneath their belt and all the loot that does come with it. Hen and Basque were the other team in game 1 to make that one come true, but this time things have gone a whole different way. They're below the Storm Surge threshold, slowly falling farther down. 63 below, though, with nice shots. I think to Basque, he got the rocket ram out. He wants to finish and clean up some of those shots, but it's King and Phaser over on the other side, and he's ready to have a crash landing. First one goes in, second one lands right next to him, but a couple of shots land onto Hen on his way there. That's going to slow things down just a little bit, and that could be a blessing in disguise for King and Phaser, because now they have a chance to stabilize.
That's the problem as well for Hen and Basque. I mean, you spot a great opportunity to actually look for an elimination process, and yet on the way over, you're immediately lit up. There's just no such thing as a free rotation in these types of lobbies. But for King and Phaser, that little moment of breathing room might be all that it took. As they look to continue playing through the backside, King's gonna find a good left side peek opportunity. Doesn't necessarily connect though like he would have wanted onto Hen, but Hen and Basque, they're under enough pressure as is. It's Moneymaker, keep in mind, he was the one at the top of Rift Island. Seems as though Moneymaker and Fnayan, they're ready to play with everybody else on the bottom.
Yeah, they thought they had their line of sights in their favor to where they were directly under Rift Island. Somehow Moneymaker did find that angle. Like I said, it just takes some time for a player like him to try to heat up. As Hen's now stuck by himself. Luckily thing for him is he's above the damage threshold for now, but he knows that it's right around the corner. It's gonna be haunting him like it's Halloween. Check a little bit of a replay here. Way trying to put the pressure onto both Bully and Shadow. Bully gets knocked first. There might even be 7-man trying to steal the loot away.
That is so tough for Bully and Shadow. They are just pincered between two separate teams. I mean, how are you really meant to box fight when you've got multiple directions that you have to be checking for against multiple teams? Definitely not the way that Bully would have hoped to go down, but as far as Way and YKZ are concerned, they're definitely happy with that collection of an elimination. Now continue trying to press their way forward. Seems that they're trying to avoid some other players in the process. Gotta be wary though at all times.
Clicks and Epic Whale quickly rotating out of Mega City this time around, or at least in comparison to their competition that does land over on that side. Firing shots off into the distance, and then instantly closing the cover. Doesn't want to get caught out, even though he wants Surge. He doesn't want to give up any free Surge either. And you can see Pink, he escaped almost getting eliminated early on in this game, and he found a way to get Vico back, but it came as a cost, Taco. They're below the damage threshold when it comes to Storm Surge. Luckily for them, it's only 6. That is barely anything. They just got to breathe on another team, and now they're hot on the heels of Batman Booga. This is the opportunity that they're trying to take in order to climb above the threshold before they fall too far below.
It definitely won't take much for Pink and Vico to get themselves above that damage threshold, but at the same time, I'm looking more so at their materials. Not very many builds for Vico to work with, and again, that's largely due to the fact that they had to go for that remove ban opportunity. They didn't actually have the time to look to farm up as well as they would have liked, given the pressure they were under earlier. Vico, he's also gonna eat too much damage in the process. They're trying to make it into the edge of zone, but it's just being safeguarded by so many teams already set in place.
Wow, nice shot from Pink onto Rapid. The Batman Booga there to save the day and instantly going for that revive, judging by the slurp juices as well. Waste no time to heal on back up as fast as possible. And that allowed them to get Surge, even if they might not have necessarily needed it. But from one team down below Surge to another, Clement and Kaizen, but they're in a whole different situation because their Surge is now active and they're taking so much damage, and all the heals have finally been used. So time is running out. Lucy goes for a Pink. Nice shot's going to be landed. Even he is below Surge. These are two teams below Surge going at it. Clement tries to go ahead and bull rush into the box. He gets denied that opportunity. Lucy with only 20 damage to do. They box up Clement. They get that elimination and a huge amount of damage to boot.
It was just a moment of desperation there from Clement, but what other options do we realistically have? And even for Steno and Lucy, they collect that elimination. and it's still just barely going to be enough to put them above that damage threshold. This lobby is moving and not in the direction that they would have hoped.
Well, this time around, you see a lot of players, even if they're above, it's not by much. It's not a feeling of comfortability whatsoever. But they know these opportunities will continue to come later on in the game. Kaizen is able to do some damage before falling. Almost taking down Lushi. Steno there to save the day as well. 27 above, though. Slowly but surely climbing. But 98 in a lobby like this isn't much at all. But they have to just take it one step at a time, one foot in front of another.
Suns and Anand, though. The fact that they're still making this work after how this game had started off for them is definitely some pretty good stuff here. Saw them talking about it earlier on socials. They're going to put Oshi on the map. And that seems to be the intent here in game number 2. But first, they've got to make sure they're able to acquire the position that they need to be in the first place.
Ooh. That's no bueno. Ooh. Storm Surge and Mr. Savage and Vidil targeting them together. Gapter's going to fall. FKS just using as much heals as he can, but Vidil and Mr. Savage, they don't want to let these 4 points and all that loot go out of their way. They're just trying to push themselves into the box, leave no option for their opponent. He's doing what he can to dance around, but the elimination is going to go through regardless. Even though they did take some damage along the way, they've got some heals. The exotic slap splashes to try to get themselves back up to tip-top shape, and they're going to need it. This rotation is going to be far. We're going over towards the side of Brutal Bastion. For some teams that are already there, it's going to be easy. Everyone else, good luck to you.
Working your way up elevation is certainly pretty dangerous type of pathway. Snazy and Podesai, though, they look like they're set in a decent spot for the time being. Crash Pad going to take them a little bit further in. Coming up on the backside here of Duke and Fishy. Just keeping in mind some of the teams that they're working their way behind. Podesai and Snazy, it looks as though they want to get aggressive here, but instead Podesai has to rethink. Doesn't want to use that Crash Pad forward just yet after taking such huge damage from behind.
Goes for a cheeky edit. Bounce Pad Junior play. It cost him a lot of HP along the way. Daisy, who didn't have any bounce pads, choosing to use the first of 3 rocket rams to try to find a safe spot in zone. Leading the way. This could be a good call for them as Podesai finally catches up. The loot is going to be dished around, but you can see the last of their heals. They are running low, so for them, a refresh is imminent. It is going to be needed, and you see Agers by himself as well below the threshold. Kanata fell not too far, not too long ago, but there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, pressure that he's felt before in their major run, trying to capitalize on it. The time is running out. Storm Surge doing so much damage. He's going to be in the same position as the other teams that we've seen. He's using a lot of heals just to stay alive. Even if it's not Storm Surge, that's Snazy and Podesai on the other side.
Storm Surge seems to be Ager's biggest opponent right now, because as long as he's given the opportunity to connect, those shots are going to put him exactly where he needs to be. Just a moment of relief here with 23 above. Roman Redeploy also going to take him in decent ways with that soaring sprints. And again, Agers just barely managing to catapult himself to the front side of the zone, but this is a great opportunity now for him to just look for that brief moment of reset. Looks to try and catch Rapid off guard, but it doesn't just work out in his favor.
Yeah, you can see Rapid by himself. Batman Booga went down, so he's going to be a solo. There's actually 6 solos in the game as of now who lost their teammate, and they have the world on their shoulders to try to make something out of this game. Rapid and Q and DX aren't going to be one of them. They're a full-on duo. They've been playing well so far in this game. 1 elimination. The rest is going to be placement points. But as this one goes on, those placement points are going to continue to rack up. We're only into the top 22.
Ooh. Foxflowers getting taken out by Rapid and QND. Bit sneaky as well. This underbelly type of play over here at the Brutal Bastion. Podesai now looking to work his way through these builds. Only has this heisted accelerant to work with. He's got to be quick with the action, lands the shots, gets the enhanced effects, but just keeps it moving instead. Doesn't want to stick around for too long. Doesn't want to risk the backup opportunity from some of these other duos. He just wants the tags. He just wants the damage, because that's going to buy him more time.
I feel like I got deja vu all over again. Podesai solo going into the end game. He made something of it in that last go around. Can he repeat? 164 above the damage threshold as well. Not too much to worry about when it comes to that part of things. It's all about just staying alive. You don't want to run into the wrong duo, maybe one that's on the other side of that Storm Surge threshold. He knows so many other teams are below him. They're on top and everything. And look, this is almost like a repeat. Bryce and Chubbs on the high ground yet again. They said it's simple. They said it's easy, and they're ready to prove it be.
Nobody else is going to try and challenge for high. Bryce and Chubbs will be all too happy to take it. Rapid going to be one of the first to fall here. Clean elimination there for Bryce, and now Podesai continuing trying to work his way back up, but so much fire being applied to his build. He's down to just his last 2 remaining. He needs a refresh of some sort, but whether or not he's going to be able to find it is a different question altogether.
16th place so far. Half of those points come when you reach top 10. The other half are in the top 10. Podesai's just trying to get as many as he can, but he goes down. That's Clix. That's Epicwell who find the elimination. Clix gets knocked. Epicwell knows to try to go ahead without him, but a misplay on the bounce pad. He falls as well, but at least they got some points for their efforts. Consistency is key, but it's Agers as the solo who is able to find that elimination and keep him and Kanata alive within contention of that top 25.
We're talking about consistency, and right now for Bryce and Chubbs, so far they're consistently holding on to that high PX in. Kitos trying to tarp through some of these secondary high layers. So far, haven't managed to encounter anybody just yet. Agers, though, breaks through the build, and he doesn't want to find himself behind. That's going to be an elimination. Credit to Shalom is now PX in. Kitos try to tarp their way forward. Crash pad, get a shot up on height, but it's not enough to actually break anything or knock down Bryce.
Yeah, but they're one of the few teams that sees what's going on above. They can easily try to make that a target if it's something they want to do. Quanti and TK, you heard him qualifying in that last game thanks to a big clutch by Quanti, trying to keep that show on the road. Reason goes down. Jan is trying to make up for it. Elimination's going to be found. Runs out of builds, runs out of math. That's Noxy who's going to be able to take him down.
Quanti and TK, they seem to have found a slight gap. Nobody else quite discovering them just yet. PX in and Kitos, though, they've managed to make a resurgence for the high ground. Pixie and Cheatin down below on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're still forced to deal with some of the congestion that remains.
Bryce and Chubbs have a chance. Brute win from the high ground, win from the low ground as Pixie takes down PH-Zen, saving that siphon for later. Now it's going to come in handy. As soon as somebody else does eliminate it, that is going to be TK who cleans that one up. Only one player here left as a solo. Quanti going around, goes for the high ground. That's Kitos, the final solo. He gets dropped in the palm of his hands, but he dunks on him as Cheatin picks up that elimination onto TK. Quanti falls. Top 2 situation with Cheatin and Pixie being our final duo left alive. Kitos, on the other hand, using that early high ground to his advantage, but it only lasts for so long. Cheatin and Pixie take the game.
What a way to state your victory royale. Cheatin and Pixie wasted absolutely no time with taking over the low ground, and we've got Frankie standing by to get into their minds.
I do. To be honest, that looked like quite a calm victory from you, Cheatin. How did it feel on the lobby today?
It's really nice. Like, we are full sec the whole game and just played it out.
Yeah, you did play it out. You almost made it look easy, but it's not easy to take a victory royale in front of a very loud crowd here in Copenhagen. How are the nerves right now?
Feeling a bit nervous, but it's fine.
So how did you control those nerves when you were in those final fights?
Yeah, we just went for low ground and just won the game from there.
Do you think that low ground is a strategy that can work for you all the way to Sunday?
I'm pretty confident that we are doing good on Sunday, so we just keep going.
Well, you're doing good right now. For you, how did you get ready for this experience of being on LAN?
We practice customs a lot and just play tournaments together, so yeah.
Any customs you'd recommend?
Nouvelle.
Nouvelle, there you go. Custom Nouvelle, check it out. Guys, congratulations on making it this far. I do need to ask, do you think you can take another victory royale now you've already got one?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, I love the confidence. So, boys, I'll let you get ready for the next battle bus as we head back to the desk. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Congratulations, Cheatin and Pixie, a victory royale. Well, Vivid, That's an EU team.
Yep.
That's an EU team that's got a victory royale. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. And it's going to be on top. It's fine. How do you feel about that one, Mini Miner?
Feeling great. I mean, what a win. What a way to close it out. Really happy for these guys as well. Of course, qualifying to that last chance major. We haven't seen them yet.
Bye.